What's up? Welcome back to On Airbnb Football with Brandon and Bryce. Today is just Brandon, just me, and I'm coming at you with our Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is. Part 1, Bryce will be bringing you his picks soon, but this is Brandon's picks episode. So, with that said, I have a few bets in that I did actually place. They're very cheap bets, but cheap bets are still bets. I'm going to start off with my divisional winners parlay. Obviously, it's an 8-legger, and $1 pays 29,000. So if y'all tail, obviously that means it's going to hit. But I would also like to start off just by saying real quick, give me a like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. I appreciate y'all. Let's get into it. So I've got the Bills winning, the Texans, Steelers, Chiefs, Eagles, Buccaneers, Packers, and Cardinals. Now, there are a few strays in there, which obviously what stands out are the Steelers winning their division and the Cardinals winning their division. I mentioned in previous episodes how I like the Cardinals a lot this year, especially if they get Marvin Harrison, a generational elite talent. His dad was amazing. He's going to be the same thing. And then I like the Steelers simply because they're there every year. I know there's the Ravens, there's the Bengals with healthy Joe Burrow back. The Ravens have Derrick Henry and MVP Lamar Jackson. But, I have always felt the past few years that the Steelers were just a quarterback away, and now they have two of them. They got Russ and Fields. I feel like they're taking the division. I don't know why. I don't like the Steelers by any means, but I got them winning the division. As for the Cardinals, Kyler Murray back and healthy for a full year. He finally gets to work with that third-round draft pick, Michael Wilson, and Marvin Harrison. James Conner's still there, and they got a great head coach in Jonathan Gannon, so we'll see where that takes them. Just to recap that, Bills, Texans, Steelers, Chiefs, Eagles, Buccaneers, Packers, Cardinals. As for the conference winner of the AFC, I have the Texans winning that. Should come as no surprise based off of how much I've talked about them. They have Bobby Sloak back, which is a huge thing. DeMeco Ryan seems like he's a great head coach. Players love him. Give me the Texans. And I would say it'd be the Texans versus the Chiefs in the title game. And as much as I hate to say it, Texans take that. But NFC winner, I got the Packers. They're going to be taking on the Lions in the NFC title game. I love Jordan Love. Jordan Love and the young offense that they have. Bet on him. Bet on him. It's a guarantee that, there's the idiots that argue that Caleb Williams is going to take that, with being a rookie quarterback. I don't see that happening. And then there's the ones that are going to argue about the Lions, which I love the Lions. I love rooting for them. We all do. But there's a point where you got to look at the consistency of winning. And it kind of feels like the Lions last season were based off of taking chances. And the Packers seem like they built their team throughout the year to, constantly get better. And that's what you want to see. So give me the Packers beating the Lions. Obviously for the Super Bowl, I have the Texans versus the Packers, but I also got the Texans beating the Packers and getting their first Super Bowl win of their franchise's entire history. I like the Packers a lot this year. I also obviously really love the Texans. With that said, give me the MVP as CJ Stroud. I know we talked about in previous episodes how we did mention things about CJ Stroud in our bold predictions episode. Go check that out. But I would also like to give a honorable mention of MVP. My second pick, if I got to choose one, would be Anthony Richardson. I see a lot of potential in him. Obviously, they got Shane Steichen there. He brings a lot of energy to that team. It seems like they had a good thing going. I know they had Gardner Minshew, but Anthony Richardson back and healthy for a full season. They got Michael Pittman back. Jonathan Taylor's finally back, so he gets to see what that's like with Anthony Richardson. And then don't forget about Jim Bob Cooter carrying a Rich to that. And then for Offensive Player of the Year, I mentioned in another previous episode how much I like him to lead the league in rushing, but Breece Hall, he's going to win Offensive Player of the Year at some point, and next year is going to be that time. I'm calling it. Stamp that. Breece Hall takes the Offensive Player of the Year award. Defensive Player of the Year award goes to Aiden Hutchinson. Now, you can argue Myles Garrett or TJ Watt, the guys that are always in there every single year, Nick Bosa. But Aiden Hutchinson, he looks elite. Dude was crazy young last year and crazy dominant. So just wait to see what he does in his next season, and that's going to be Deep Boy. Coach of the year. Now, I could go ahead and give it to the guy who got snubbed last year. If I'm riding with the Texans, that would be D'Amico Ryans. But I'm actually going to roll with Dave Canales, the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. A lot of you probably don't even know that, but Dave Canales carried Geno Smith and the Seahawks to the playoffs. And then last year, he carried Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers to the playoffs and a playoff win at that. So if Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick, gets some offensive line help, gets somebody to block for him, and then a competent offense around him, with Dave Canales as his head coach, I don't know what he does, if there's a special soup that he gives them or something like that, but Dave Canales, coach of the year. As for the little random picks that I got to end off this episode, centered around the NFL draft, the team to draft Xavier Worthy, I have that as the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a lot of debate around who's going after Rome Odunze. There's a lot of good receivers in this draft, but Xavier Worthy really drove up his draft stock with that 40 time. And the Jags really need a receiver after getting rid of Zay Jones, and they don't have Calvin Ridley anymore. So they got Christian Kirk and their running backs. So Xavier Worthy to the Jags. The Panthers' first drafted player is not a specific, but it's going to be an offensive lineman. As for the team to draft Michael Penix Jr. is going to be the Saints. I feel very confident in that because the Saints absolutely need a quarterback of the future, and they're just not somebody in free agency you're going to go get, and they aren't going to be high enough to take one of the guys that they want. They might be able to go get J.J. McCarthy, or if they trade up, they might get somebody else. But I feel like Penix falls out of the first round, or maybe really late in the first round. The Saints trade back, whatever it may be. Saints go get Michael Penix Jr. Let him develop under Derek Carr, and then in a few years he may be something. I have the team to draft Brock Bowers as the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, I know that they went and got Jonnu Smith, and they gave him somewhat of a hefty deal, but that doesn't mean anything. Jonnu Smith's older now. Again, with the development thing, if you get Brock Bowers, who, yes, he's a great tight end, but he's not somebody who should be going in the top 10 of the draft, I feel like. He's somebody who will fall, and he's going to be shocking everybody, and he's going to the Dolphins. Lock in. I have, as my last one to end this episode, I have the first running back drafted. There's a lot of debate because there's not a lot of confidence in who the first running back off the board is going to be. But I feel confident that it's going to be Blake Corum. Just because Brooks, obviously, with the injury, Trey Benson, maybe not consistent enough in college, but Blake Corum showed a lot of consistency with touchdowns. Yes, it's going to be a little bit different, a lot faster in the NFL. But going to the right team, maybe if you see him land on the Chargers or something like that in the second round, and he's, just for y'all's information, he's not the favorite. He's actually plus 550. So if you take Blake Corum and put a $10 bet, it's doable. With that said, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Help us get to where, we can get known enough to where we are interviewing you, the fans, the players, the coaches. The end goal is to drive to the stadiums on Sundays, and me and Bryce can just chalk it up with the players, chalk it up with the coaches, whoever it may be. And then we have some fun on the tailgates. Do us a favor. Like, subscribe, share. Please share with your family, your friends, anybody you know. Leave in the comments what you guys would like to see for future videos. Let us know. That's the Brandon's Picks episode. Peace.